I feel like we've got the talent. You know, like every other season, a lot of things happen. You got to stay healthy. You got to not have 18 penalties. So you got to play smart. You got to play physical. You got to know what to do. You got to know when to do it. You got to know how to do it. So we've got the talent, but it's not about the talent. It's about, you know, getting the job done.
The countdown is on. It will be a little longer countdown this week. Of course, the Browns playing in prime time on Monday night in New Jersey, taking on the New York Jets. Welcome into the News 5 studio. I'm sports anchor Jon Doss, alongside, as always, the father of the dog pound, the dog father himself. He is Hanford, Dixon. You still getting royalty checks from that, I hope?
Hey, man, not big enough.
You better be.
The checks are very, very small. They're not big enough. So maybe you could turn me on to someone that can do something about that.
You could have Gerard negotiate that for you.
No doubt.
Guy on the end there, that's Gerard Cherry, three-time Super Bowl champion, one half of the Next Level radio show on ESPN Cleveland. Also went to the University of California, Golden Bears 3-0
That's right.
this season, although just barely. Boys, different vibe this week as opposed to last week. Last week we were there, First Energy Stadium, all the energy, all the optimism in the world. This week it's a little different feel.
Yeah, it's a little bit different feel. Obviously, last week it was a big letdown, not only for the fans, but for this football team. I mean, everybody was expecting big, big things from these guys, starting with Freddie Kitchen and his football team, and it just didn't happen. They didn't deliver.
Right. The electricity was all throughout Northeast Ohio. You could feel it as you walked through the streets, and then all of a sudden someone turned the power off.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt last week. And, yes, you need a game like this to get back on track. So I am so looking forward to Monday because it zapped me as well. And I said I wouldn't get emotionally involved with this football team, but guess what? I'm emotionally involved with this football team.
Well, yeah, I don't think we have a choice but to get emotionally involved, and I agree with you. And you know, they told everyone, hey, get to the stadium early, and everyone did. Everyone was in the muni lots. They were having a good time. They were partying. They were expecting to see the Cleveland Browns come out and beat that football team last week. And we just laid a big egg.
And we're going to talk about why that egg was laid. A lot of that was self-inflicted. But first, let's talk about this game with the Jets tomorrow night. Sam Darnold not going to be playing, the Jets starting quarterback, out with mono. He may be out now for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and I think about that, though, guys,
Don't
and I'm
think
a
too
bit
much
concerned.
Yeah.
In this sense that it may allow us to get this mentality again that we have this made, just like the last week's game. So I'm really concerned the fact that he's not playing. That could pose a problem that we relax and think we could take it easy.
Well, and obviously you look at the Jets. I mean, they need to win, too, because looking at their schedule that's coming up, they have a pretty tough schedule. So this football team, even though they don't have the lead at the starting quarterback, they were playing at home, and they want to win this football game.
And they blew a 16-point lead at home to the Buffalo Bills in the second half last week. They were up 16-0 late in that third quarter, and they blew that lead. So you know the Jets have something to prove as well. And you're right, Trevor Siemian, not that much different of a quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Right.
It's not like Tom Brady's out of this ballgame.
Right.
It's Sam Darnold, the second-year quarterback who has his flaws. Trevor Siemian has proven to be a very serviceable quarterback in this NFL.
Exactly, and he's playing for a lot of things. He's playing for the vitality of his career, the longevity of his career, and he wants to be in a situation where he can show other football teams, look, I still have the ability to play at a high level, so you're going to get A-plus effort from him. So please do not think that this guy's not going to be prepared because he understands the stakes that are on the line for him in his career.
Guys, he's got a 13-11 record overall. When you look at this guy, you're right. He's got a strong arm, but he's not very accurate. And what he likes to do is he likes to check down the ball a lot. But that's going to come in handy with Bell because, as we know, Bell's a great receiver coming out of the backfield. So look for a lot of balls to go to him today.
So C.J. Moseley not playing for the Jets either. There was some question as to whether Le'Veon Bell would play. Had an MRI on an injured shoulder earlier this week. The team says he is fine to go. And Le'Veon Bell's a game changer.
Oh, yes, he is. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to playing running back and out of the backfield, dual threat running back, and that he can catch it and he can obviously run it. But the thing that I really press upon Le'Veon Bell is just don't let his confidence get going. Shut that down. It's going to be very key that our linebackers stay in touch with him and not let him get established because he has to be, at this point, the mainstay for this offense because they're suffering across the board, this Jets offense, with injuries or whatnot.
Guys, when you look at Bell last week, he didn't miss a beat like he didn't play last season. I mean, he was strong running the ball. He was strong catching the ball. He had a touchdown. And again, he's going to be a big factor in this game. And we couldn't get as lucky as not have him play also today.
Well, you know, maybe a bigger factor in the game, the Browns penalties. It was a big issue last week. 18 penalties, 182 yards. You cannot beat a team in the NFL when you're trying to beat yourself like that, and Freddie Kitchens certainly knows.
Because the men that we have in that locker room, they're going to rally together. They're going to be accountable to each other. They are accountable to each other. They understand the problems that we created for ourselves yesterday. They understand that with 22, we got the ball at the 49-yard line, down 22-13, and have a shot play called, and we can't get it off. They understand that and get a holding call on that play. That puts us in the 1st and 20 again. We understand what the result of that play would have been if we could have gotten it off. So we understand the problems. All right, they will rectify the problem. We've got a bunch of guys in there have bought in to what each other means to them. They will do that. I feel very confident that I know what we're going to get when we go to the practice field starting tomorrow. And I feel very confident in what we're going to get when we show up.
Boy, we were all at that game Sunday. The Browns go right down the field. They score a touchdown. You're saying to yourself, wow, they're going to put up 45 today. They are going to blow this team out. And then penalty after penalty, 18 of them for 182 yards. You can't win a ball game like that.
You can't win a ball game like that. And, guys, I think it goes back to, and people could say what they want to say, preseason. Because that's what preseason is all about. You get the football together. You get them playing together. And those guys didn't really play in preseason. And I thought it was very interesting at the end of the game when one of the guys went up to Odell and asked him that question, and he got annoyed with the question. But I honestly thought it was a good question.
Yeah, I think it was a great question as well, and I think you're exactly right, Hanford, in your assessment of the situation. I believe they took this game with the ease of which they drove down the football field early on in the game with the same mentality of a preseason game, and that, we don't have to exert ourselves. We don't have to do as much. And obviously we found out, and they found out the hard way, that a preseason game and an NFL game of actually playing 4 full quarters is a totally different dynamic, and we had to, again, experience that the hard way. But I definitely believe preseason played a major part in the Browns not having success on Sunday with all the penalties.
I would have loved to have been in that locker room after the game because, again, all the penalties and then all the personal fouls, and you have guys getting kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
It was just totally unnecessary, totally undisciplined football team.
Let me ask you, and you kind of mentioned it there, do you think the ease at which they drove down
Yes.
the field, and that, because they come into this game with all this hype, all these expectations, then they go right down the field and score a touchdown. Are you buying into that as a player to say, wow, we really cannot be stopped, and then you get a little out of character?
You have everyone in America lauding you as the best thing since sliced bread. And all of a sudden you get on the football field, the regular season starts, and it's a duplicate of what you did against the Washington Redskins in a preseason game. Why would you not say to yourselves, we have arrived? Why would you not think that we really are that good? And it played right into the psychological factoring of letting down and saying, you know what, we don't have to play this full level for 4 full quarters. And you know, and I know, and heck, for what you do, you know that you always have to bring your A effort, especially when people are gunning for you.
Well, you know and I know, but he doesn't know.
Well, he's trying to include him when he does his day.
I brought my B-plus effort for me today.
But John, I have to say this. I was sticking my chest out after that first drive.
Absolutely.
I was just
It was a
all
thing of beauty.
excited. I said, here we go again. I was even going back to last year talking about Baker, the 27 touchdown passes he had last year. I said, hey, it's going to be this way again this year. Oh, my goodness, were we wrong.
Well, because then you miss an extra point. And everything, right? A little deflated. Obviously, we're going to talk about the special teams later, but you got to kick that ball through the uprights. Coming up, we're going to talk about Baker and Odell Beckham Jr. They made their debut together last week. We'll get these guys' thoughts on that coming up next to the Browns Countdown. Welcome back into the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry, Baker Mayfield. We like what we saw through the first 3 quarters of the season opener last week. 4th quarter, things got a little away from him.
Yeah, you know what? Watching him perform, I saw a little look that I didn't like in his eyes.
Really?
At a certain time.
Really?
In the ball game. Yeah, I mean, he was like a little shook over there on the bench, and they were getting to him. I mean, Cameron was coming around that corner, and I'm telling you, they was putting a lot of pressure on him. He was sacked, and, you know, we always say we don't care who the quarterback is. Once you put pressure on him, once you get to him, he'll turn into an average quarterback. But you look at his numbers right there.
Yeah, well, the situation at hand was you lost your tackle. You have a situation where a backup was backups in, And that is going to cause you to be under duress and not trust what you have in front of you. And that was the case. And you're so right, Hanford. And any quarterback, I don't care if it's the greatest of all time, that being Tom Brady, if you have that type of pressure, you are going to not play quarterback at a high level.
Well, I'm just saying, I went back and I watched that game 3 times. 3 times I went back and I watched that game.
Poor guy.
Baker was sitting over there, and that look was in his eyes. As a defensive player, we'd like to see that look.
Greatest of all times who?
Oh, Tom Brady.
Okay, yeah. He's just right. Okay.
Joe Montana.
You got 3 Super Bowl rings with Tom Brady, so I'll give you that. Baker, 22 of 29 for 264 yards and a touchdown through the first 3 quarters. Those are pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
And the fourth quarter, is it a situation where he's pressing a little bit, maybe too much from behind?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's a situation where you're forcing things. The interceptions, in my opinion, were all pressure points of trying to force something that wasn't there and making something happen, trying to make something out of nothing. Those are the type of things that gets him in trouble. But it's the type of things that you appreciate about him, too, is that he wants to make a play. He's trying to wait and see who's going to get open, who's going to get open. And when he does that, either an interception or a sack's going to lead to that. But I do appreciate the fact that he did bow through that, which was a very tough, obviously, football game for this football team on the offensive end.
Oh, no question. And boy, did we get lucky on that first drive.
You say that was luck, really?
Well, I mean, it should have been an interception.
Oh, the first play?
Yeah, I'm talking about the first play when he threw the ball and the guy just dropped the ball right in his hand. He could have been going down the field, so we caught a break there.
Well, Baker Mayfield, he's a bit of a gunslinger. He gets the Brett Favre comparisons a lot. I don't know that there's going to be a season that Baker Mayfield has one of those years where he throws 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions like in Aaron Rodgers, because you're right. What makes him so great is also a little dangerous sometimes.
Right.
Is he's going to go out there and sling it. There's no window that he doesn't think he can throw through.
Well, don't get me wrong. When I said I saw that look, and I'm not worried about Baker. I think Baker's going to be fine. I think he's going to start out today. I think he's going to have a great day today. But I just saw a little look there for a minute. But he's going to be fine.
Hey, Hanford, we all had that look. Yeah. Expecting that outcome.
Especially when somebody beat me deep on about an 80-yard bomb.
Yeah. Right. I never had that look. Odell Beckham Jr. debut as a member of the Cleveland Browns last week. What'd you think of him?
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Despite all the issues with the watch and everything that took place with that, he did his job.
Nice
and if
watch.
you really want to go in on the officials, think about this. That was a very weak push-off. He's over 100 yards receiving if you count that 1 touchdown. So I felt that was a iffy call at best. So he did his job. Showed up, showed out, and made plays when his number got called. So I was very impressed with his effort.
I agree with you on that call. You're talking about a defensive back, a cornerback that disagreed with that call. I do not think it was a push-off. I mean, receivers are taught to do that. 7 receptions, 71 yards. Again, could have been way over 100, but I thought he played extremely well. And you could tell he's going to be a threat, and he's going to be someone that you're going to have to deal with this year.
Right. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. You couldn't ask for a better performance from him on an individual level. Obviously, we need the rest of the team to step up to his standard of play because he played at a high level despite the outcome in that football game.
What's the most expensive piece of jewelry you've played with in a ball game? You guys you didn't play with it.
I never felt comfortable with it because I figured I'd cut my arm or my hand or something like that.
And I think it's crazy. I mean, me personally, I just think it's crazy for anyone to play football with a watch on. I've never had any teammates that play with a watch on. And you like a lot of the guys today that play with a lot of jewelry, like a lot of the necklaces and stuff. We never did that. I mean, that's what the locker room is for. Right. You take your stuff, you lock it up before you go on the field. But it's a different mentality.
Gerard used to wear his Super Bowl ring.
But I think it's a psychological warfare thing going on with him as well. Because if you're in the know of how much that watch costs, you're probably looking at it like, this dude got on a $189,000 watch in the middle of a football game. What in the world is he thinking? So that little brief moment of you thinking about that may cause one to get off their game.
John, I know Gerard. If one of those endorsers called him and said, hey, Gerard, you wear this watch, big dog. We're going to take care of you. He'd have had 2 of them, one on each arm.
I had on my ankle as well.
Odell had a 4-bed, 2-bath on his
Yes.
Yeah.
Big picture thing, defense. Again, this is kind of a tale of I'd say 2 halves, but it wasn't 2 halves. It was 3 quarters and 1 quarter. Things got away from the defense a little bit in that 4th quarter as well. This was a 2-point game in the 4th quarter.
Well, one thing that really alarmed me about the defense was that I was anticipating, and we said it on the show Sunday, 4-man rush should be able to get pressure on the quarterback. That was not the case. You relied on blitzes from a safety, from a cornerback, from a nickel, from a dime in order to get pressure. And that is a problem because we are paying a lot of guys a lot of money. And I'm not trying to be in their pockets, but the whole point is you need to generate a pass rush with the 4 guys we have there. And we didn't do that. So that was a huge problem because I'm anticipating them being the most dominant unit on the football team, and that certainly did not happen on Sunday.
And guys, one area I'm still concerned with this defense is against the run. We have to be able to stop the run, and at some point we let Derrick Henry get going a little bit. I think they ended up rushing for like 123 yards, but I know they were over 100. And we have to be able to stop the run. But I was shocked that we didn't get to the quarterback as many times as we did. We should have got to him more.
Well, the thing that broke my back was the screen.
Yeah.
And you know from playing that.
Screen after screen after screen, and they tried to get it going. They couldn't get it going the first 3 or 4 times, and then they really
You know what
did.
the screen is? I call it you believe in the hype. Because when a team runs a screen against you, they're basically telling you, you think you're all that, and you're probably saying to yourself, oh, I got back here because I'm so great. No, they get paid too. They let you get back there. You got to understand the setup in that, and we certainly didn't do that. And to see him scamper for 70-plus yards on top of that and essentially go untouched, that was really bothersome to me, more so than anything that the defense produced on Sunday.
Boy, am I glad you mentioned that screen, because I am going to talk about that a little bit later on in my key to the game. And what you're going to see is some of your guys on your football team not hustling to the ball.
That's a deep tease. He's good at this. He's a professional.
Hour later tease.
Yeah.
All right, coming up on the show, speaking of deep, we're going to get deep with Freddie Kitchens. At least Nathan Segura is going deep into that loss in Week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. That's next for the Browns Countdown.
Very happy to be sitting with Browns head coach Freddie Kitchens. And coach, this week, the Jets, the next test for your Cleveland Browns football team. What are you expecting out of the New York Football Jets on Monday Night Football in their home stadium?
We're expecting their best shot, We expect them to come out with a lot of energy, playing at home, and see what we can do against them.
And what was the emphasis this week here in practice?
Well, first of all, cleaning up the other game, we tried to make them realize how close we actually were. With 22-13, we had a guy screaming down the field open, couldn't get the ball off, had 18 penalties. About 10 of them were unforced errors. So you try to clean that up and get their mind right moving forward. But this week, we just stressed the same thing we usually stress. Having discipline, holding your composure, especially in a big-time atmosphere, because our fans did a great job of creating the atmosphere for us Sunday. Now we're about to go into the same type atmosphere, so we've got to maintain our composure when we play on big stages.
How would you say the players have kind of responded to that, knowing that, look, as you said all along, it's a player's game. What happens between the white lines is really up to those players, knowing it's their responsibility to clean up those mistakes.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they understand. We've done a good job throughout training camp and in the spring of identifying a problem and then rectifying that problem. And we've identified the problem. It has to do with discipline and, emotions, keeping your emotions in check. But, usually at the end of the day, the smartest, toughest football team wins. We just have to be a little smarter at times.
Coach, obviously it's a historic year in the NFL, the 100th year of the National Football League, the 50th year of Monday Night Football, and the very first Monday Night Football matchup was in fact the Jets and the Browns. So pretty cool to be a part of another historic matchup here.
Yeah, it is. When the schedule first came out and was released, we saw that we had them on Monday night. It's very special to be involved in a game. When you think of the NFL, the first thing you think of is Monday Night Football. So, it's really special.
Thanks again for the time, Coach. Best of luck on Monday.
Thank you.
You watched that game?
Yes, I did. You know what tripped me out watching that game? Receivers were set up in three-point stands getting off the football as opposed to standing up. That is what you call old school.
That would have made your job a lot easier, right?
Man, I would have loved to go get some guys on there, because by the time they get up and get going, I'm in their chest. Oh, bring me a three-point guy.
Glory days. We relive them every Sunday now. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry. Guys, Freddie Kitchens made his head coaching debut, right? He coached 4 preseason games, but as they've made obvious the preseason doesn't matter, right? But Freddie Kitchens made his debut last week, and it really couldn't have gone worse for him.
No, it couldn't have gone worse. You got blown out at home. You had high expectations, and your team looked undisciplined. That is all going to go to the desk of the head coach, because that is his job to have guys prepared mentally, physically, and emotionally to play at a high level, and certainly they weren't that.
I think Freddie jumped all over these guys after this football game.
Hope he did.
I think he really jumped all over these guys and let them know not only how disappointed he was, but they should be disappointed in themselves. I think they need to stop reading the papers and And
well, they say they don't have.
Well,
you know, every player says they don't listen to what we're saying.
Yeah, that's
if you're on social media,
right.
you're reading the papers.
Right.
That's the new version of it.
And when I played, I mean, obviously social media wasn't as big as it is today, but we read the papers. Whenever you wrote something, big dog.
I got a feeling it didn't exist.
When you came in that locker room, I gave you a funny look. I was a little bit upset with you, you know.
Oh, so you were reading it. You were reading
Was
it.
I reading
Did you
it?
pay attention to that stuff?
Yes, and I would like.
you did.
Of course you did. You listen to the radio station, you listen to the TV, and sometimes I wouldn't even go out in public if I knew I played bad. That's how much it meant to me.
Hey, dog, you talked to Mary Kay Cabot, Tony Grossi, Jeff Trudell, any of those guys, I would give them a funny look. Hey, man, I dare you write something like that about me.
Well, that's the thing. Then why can't we just be honest? Because every play, and you know what? Baker Mayfield said it after the ball game. He said, everybody's going to throw us in the garbage this week. And he's true. He's right. That's what happened in the national narrative, was that the Browns were not what we thought they were. But why can't you just tell us you're paying attention? I think it's okay.
No, it's not.
Okay to
That's
say
a sign of weakness. You can never show that. You can't show that you care. You can't show that you're emotionally bothered by what we may say. So that's why you don't
You
do
should
that.
be emotionally bothered by that
but you
game.
do that.
Shouldn't
You should be, but you do that privately.
Right,
you do not show that publicly.
Joe, you got to understand, we're big bad football players.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we can't show a sign of weakness.
Well, Freddie Kitchens says, don't freak out.
All right, what we have to refrain from doing right now is overreacting. It's one game in a 16-game schedule. We're very disappointed in the lack of discipline that we showed, the loss of composure that we showed at times, and just overall not doing a good enough job from a coaching perspective and a player perspective to get the job done in a positive manner. The atmosphere was incredible for that game, for an opening game, a day game, all those sort of things. Really have never been in that type of atmosphere before, and that's a testament to our fans. We're going to continue to make corrections in how we prepared from a discipline standpoint and a lack of composure standpoint. I think that put us in some bad situations that we weren't able to overcome enough of those situations and put us behind in the game and ultimately out of reach because of those things. So we will get better next week, and we'll see where we're at. Any questions?
Well, the good news is the Browns got a chance to get that taste out of their mouth Monday night, traveling to Jersey to take on the Jets. More of the Browns Countdown coming up. Welcome back into the Browns Countdown. Time now for our Browns Hot Minute, presented by Sugardale.
It wouldn't matter the stage, but yeah, that does make it a little more exciting for our guys, knowing that we got a lot of people counting us out, and we're going to take it one game at a time. And on Monday night, there's no better way to do it.
We put last week to bed once we watched the film. This game is the most important game to it because it's the next game on the schedule.
Kind of bittersweet that we had an extra day this week to think about the loss that we just had. But I mean, they're just gonna make us dig a little bit deeper and to just try to do the things we can to get this dub this week.
Just another game. That's really it. Monday Night Football and the lights. Just trying to get wins.
I feel a lot of confidence with this team, and we want to get all the haters and naysayers out of here. So I hope everybody's all gone now, and we just focus on us. We go win together. We got to stay together, stick as a team, and everything else is going to take care of itself.
The countdown continues. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry. Guys, they talk about how, yeah, it's a big game because it's the next game. They're being counted out. I don't know that they are being counted out. I think everybody in the country wants to look at this team and says, okay, you're as talented as you think you are. You're going to bounce back today in a big way.
Yeah, I hope they're thinking that way, though, John, because they should feel like they're being counted out. Because last week they were counting themselves too much in, and it played against them. So if that is their mentality, that they're counting themselves out and no one respects them, good, because we saw what happens when too much respect comes their way.
Well, all they have to do is look at some of the national shows like First Take and Stephen Smith and the boys. And I told you those Cleveland Browns are not any good. Yeah. This is a good football team. It's a good football team with a lot of great athletes on it. And And hopefully Monday night they'll come together and they'll show everyone how good they can actually
But
be.
you guys know talent is just a part of the equation. This may be one of the most talented teams in the NFL, certainly on paper, but that is just a part of the equation. We saw all of the other parts of the equation didn't come together last week.
And you said the key component, on paper.
Yeah.
Yes, you have a great 40 time. Yes, you have a great vertical leap. Yes, you have the ability to do certain things from a previous statistical standpoint. But if you're not out there applying yourself every play in every situation to win those battles, it means absolutely nothing. Culture will always trump talent.
But guys, again, let's talk about the paper, this football team on paper. I mean, you got Nick Chubb's running the football. I mean, obviously we know he's a great running back. He's a guy that can give you 150 yards in a game just like this. And then obviously we got Baker at the quarterback. Then we got the great wide receivers. I think one of the ones that we forget about sometimes is Higgins, and he's starting to play well. But guys, this football team, I'm telling you, I think this week they're going to get it going.
Yeah, they have no choice but to do that, because if you go 0-2 and then you're facing the Rams on Sunday, you do not want to be in a spot where you're trying to overcome an 0-3 or 0-4 deficit, because it's so hard to do that. Now, there have been teams in the past that overcome that. I was a part of one, so I know what that's like. But at the same time, that's not a humble brag by any stretch of the imagination. It's just telling you like it is.
Hey, guys, I have to say this, though. Monday night, what do you guys think? Maybe Freddie Kitchens shouldn't shave. Maybe he should just come out with that scruffy beard. I mean, I looked at him. you know he was bad because he even shaved for the
he knew he was going to be in the national spotlight last week, and he's certainly going to be in the national spotlight.
I think that was Mrs. Kitchens sending that message.
Yeah.
All right, we got to talk a little bit about the Jets offense against this Browns defense and opportunity at redemption for this Browns defense after last week. That's coming up next on the Browns Countdown. I hope the cameras caught that. It's the one time that you've admitted that Hanford Dixon was right. Welcome back to the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Hanford Dixon, Gerard Cherry.
It won't happen again.
Guys, this Jets offense didn't look great against the Bills last week. Scored just 17 points. They got something to prove this week, too.
Yes, they do. They need a win just as bad as we need one. So it's going to be a desperation situation for this offense, for this defense, for the Jets. And if you saw Adam Gase, he looked like someone stole his lunch money, took his dog from him.
He always looks like that.
But the way in which he expressed himself once he found out that Darnold was not going to be in the game, I've never seen someone's body language look so defeated. But don't be fooled by that. He's still telling his football team, here's how we can beat the Cleveland Browns.
But guys, personally, when I look at this offense, I think this offense is a mess right now with all the players that they have out, and especially starting at their quarterback. I mean, Trevor, let's face it, he's a pocket passer. He's a guy, like we said, a big, strong arm, not very accurate, like to check down a lot. He's got the worst QBR, 42.1, among the 30 quarterbacks with at least 1,000 action plays since 2016, the worst. So, again, I think this whole offense is a mess.
See, I hear that and I get nervous because this team has me worried in this regard that, hey, if they get a stat like that and they get word to it, will they check down? Yeah. Will they check out and say, you know what, we can just go out there and put our helmets on and put our cleats on our feet and just go play average to at best football? And I don't want that type of message being spread to this team.
And you know, the Browns defense has something to prove too, and we already mentioned it. They were pretty good for the first 3 quarters of that football game, and I don't know if it was fatigue at that point in the fourth quarter or what, but it all started with that screen pass. Browns got to within 2, that 75-yard screen pass happens, and then it's like that completely took the wind out of the sails of this Browns defense.
Yeah, that screen pass is a backbreaker because it's a rare occurrence for a screen pass to go that distance and score. And on top of that, it is a reflection of, was this team really physically ready to go into the second half and play at a high level? Because Derrick Henry is a quality back. Don't get me wrong, but he's no Nick Chubb. He should not be running away from DBs.
Well, and the thing about it, too, it happened so fast. I mean, right after we scored, it seemed like you're right. Right after we scored and we were back into this ball game, we turn around and there they go, running down the field.
But as a former player, you know first and foremost that the main thing that you always have to do once you score is make sure that other team doesn't get the momentum back and you shut them down. And we did the exact opposite.
Sort of like a baseball game. You score 2, and then you come back, and you have to stop them the next inning. Don't let them get the momentum. You can't let them score 2. So you're exactly right.
Let me ask you, I know neither of you guys were all that impressed with the secondary for the Browns last week.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really surprised, did you guys notice that they didn't start Mitchell?
I did notice that.
Mitchell didn't start in the game. They started Greedy Williams. But I wasn't happy with the secondary. And it all starts with all-pro corner Ward. I mean, if you look at it, he was chasing all day long. He had a bunch of holding penalties. One of the receivers caught the big 47, 48-yarder on him. And not only him, I mean, all the defense, even Terrence Mitchell. He didn't. I don't think he had a great game. I don't think he had a bad game, but didn't have a great game. We have to do better in the secondary, especially this week.
And remember, anytime the Browns get an interception, hopefully that happens this week, you can pick up a free small curly fry the next day at your nearest Arby's restaurant. All you need to do, mention the interception. Only at participating Cleveland locations. Limit 1 per guest. Arby's, we have the meats. Gerard, we hope that happens this week. We need to see some turnovers out of this Browns defense.
Yeah, and it's just a simple matter of communication, guys. That's what was missing. You had a bunch of guys not playing in the preseason together, as well as not even practicing, and that plays a part. We have to prepare. We're not to a point in place in time where we've been together 6, 7, 8 years to where guys can say, you know what, I got this, I understand this. There's a lot of new moving parts and pieces to this secondary and to this defense and to this team overall. And I think in the idea of being safe, not getting guys hurt, that hindered us from our development and our communication, and it certainly showed its face last week.
What about the pass rush, guys? We talked about no Taylor Lewan last week for Tennessee. I walked into that stadium saying if this Browns pass rush doesn't have 7 or 8 sacks, I'm going to be disappointed. They finished with 4.
Yeah.
Got to see a better effort out of the defensive line, too.
We have to see a better effort. We have to get to this quarterback, especially since Donald was not in there today. We cannot let Trevor get life. We have to come and put a lot of pressure. And, you know, listen to Adam Gates talk about our football team. That's an area that he is concerned about. He's concerned about our defensive line because he knows how strong that front 4 is for us is.
Well, that's the key part, that front 4. And I want to see the front 4 dominate. I want to see the majority of those sacks coming from the front 4, not from a nickel, not from a dime, not from a cornerback blitzing, but from that front 4. And if we get the front 4 dominating in the trenches, that's everything. Because, again, to Tennessee Titans' credit, they chipped, they blocked, they did what they needed to do. And they put on a clinic on how you handle a situation when you're down a left tackle who's an all-pro.
And obviously, we know what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to combat some of that by the doubling, maybe a Miles Garrett. And the guys who get the one-on-one battles have to win those battles today.
You said it doesn't matter who you are. You got to pressure the quarterback, and that changes things, especially if it's a backup quarterback that didn't find out until midweek that he's getting the start. So obviously, pressuring that quarterback tomorrow is going to be very important. Coming up next on the show, Hanford's favorite part. Let's go around the AFC North. That's next on the Browns Countdown. All right, welcome back into the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry. Time now to go around the AFC North. There's only one team in the division that won last week. The Baltimore Ravens.
Am I going first?
Hanford, how do you feel about it?
Are you going to start this?
Honestly,
we will give you the honor.
Well,
no, really, we talked a little bit of trash against this Ravens team last week, but Lamar Jackson in Baltimore looked really strong, albeit against a very bad Miami.
Guys, he has found a target. He has found a guy they call him Hollywood Brown.
There's only one Hollywood in
He's
this
the receiver from Oklahoma. Lamar Jackson went 17 for 20, 324 yards, 5.
Pretty good.
5. It's not a mistake. 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
You had mutiny in Miami.
0.
Come on, you had 10 guys trying to lead the football team. Why are we surprised by the
That's
score?
the one right there.
What do you think his QBR was?
What's the top of QBR? QBR goes to 100, so he was 99.4. That's almost perfect.
99.4. You are exactly right. Is that strong or is that strong?
It's all right.
That looked like honestly, that looked like a college secondary in that these guys were running free. And you know what? Lamar Jackson was a very good passer in college when his guys had 10 yards of the next closest DB.
But you also had guys who don't want to be on the football field. They weren't even giving you a professional effort.
Right.
They were giving you a lackluster, I want to be traded, which makes no sense because in order to be traded, you have to give a great effort. So I shouldn't dismiss or discount what Lamar did because it was impressive. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Hanford, let's just be real. He played against a team that didn't want to be out there.
You know what? And on a serious note, I think we're all surprised at the performance. I mean, obviously we know he can run the football.
Yeah,
right. Him throwing the football, I think that we were all surprised about those numbers.
Oh, well, luckily the Browns weren't the only team to lose by 30 in Week 1. Ooh. Pittsburgh lost by 30 as well, although they played against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and that's to be expected when you're going against the best ever played the position.
Okay,
no
so we got Hanford in Baltimore, and we got Gerard in New England. So at least it's all evening out. No, it's good. It's all evening out. But guys, Pittsburgh did not look good in Week 1.
But they never look good in Week 1 or Week
right.
2, 3, or 4. They're a second-half football team, and we want to look good in Week 1 and Week 2 and 3 and 4 as well. But I'm not surprised by that because historically speaking, that is what Pittsburgh Steelers do. They don't give you much because they take the preseason off.
Guys, Josh Gordon, I mean, what do you say about this kid? I mean, this guy, he looked like he hadn't missed a beat. But again, you're talking about Tom Brady and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're talking just like the Browns. They're not too concerned. They say it's game 1. There's a full season still ready to go. So I think they'll bounce.
And there's truth to that because a lot of times you have a team start off hot first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, then you see them disappear and collapse. So you want to always be trending towards winning and having success. But ultimately, you truly find out who you are as a football team weeks 8 on, in my opinion.
And New England is adding, by the way, to that team, maybe the best wide receiver.
Really, though?
Well, maybe they're adding him. Who knows? Who knows if Antonio Brown will ever play for this New England team?
I tell you, he traveled with the team, and he's going to be there. So
He'll be there, but will he remain a good, happy camper?
Well, we all know. We don't know what to expect from him. I mean, he's a loose cannon.
Get out of the man's pocket, okay? Cincinnati, by the way. Cincinnati, you talk about Baltimore being a surprise.
I was surprised.
Cincinnati was a bit of a surprise. Went on the road to Seattle. They lost the ball game, but lost by 1.
And Andy Dalton had a great game.
Yeah.
I mean, he played a good football game. And look at their defense. I mean, they're flying around the football, and they gave them everything and then some. They gave Seattle, but I was a little bit shocked how well this football team
Well, the
played.
one thing I take away from a Cincinnati game is from a player, and it's Tyler Boyd. Because I'm saying to myself, Tyler starts talking about when A.J. Green comes back, all the hype with the Browns are going to die. Now, obviously, he plays a receiver position, and I get that. But why are you even concerning yourself with what the Cleveland Browns are doing and the hype surrounding them? You don't play the Browns until, like, December. So it makes no sense in my mind why I even speak on that. But that's what's going on in the AFC North.
We're telling me you need to stay off social media.
Good luck with that.
They should, that's what everybody should do.
Yeah.
Stay off social media. Guys, I think Baltimore's going 2-0. They got Arizona this week.
Yeah, they should.
Well, you got 2 Heisman Trophy guys going against each other, so it should be an exciting matchup.
Really important, again, for the Browns to get a win on Monday Night Football in New York. You do not want to begin 2 games back of Baltimore. I mean, you get to play this team in Week 4. You do not want to begin 2 games back of them.
And one thing you know about Monday night, you know about Thursday night, pretty much the bright lights, and Sunday nights, the bright lights are out. Everyone is at home. Everyone is watching this football game.
Yeah, well, hopefully that factors in because everyone was watching that football game last week when we saw what happened.
All right, coming up after the break, we got a really cool segment. Jarvis Landry mic'd up for Week 1 against Tennessee. That's next on the Browns Countdown. Guys, we expect a big bounce-back performance from this Browns team, hopefully in New Jersey on Monday night, especially this Browns offense. We hope to see more of what we saw on the first drive last week rather than the remaining 3.5
certainly.
quarters.
And the abilities to do that is there. It's just a matter of coming into this game, focused with the mentality of we're going to do this for 4 quarters and not just think we could take a break. I truly believe that drive and the success of it in the first quarter set the tempo in their minds that, hey, we got this. This is going to be easy. And they found out the hard way it's not the case.
But we just can't kill ourselves on penalties.
True.
I mean, if we were able to, when we're able to, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when we're able to move this ball on this Jets defense, which is, let's say, a big part of that is C.J. Moseley. I mean, he's out with a groin injury.
Right.
And also Quentin Williams is also out of this ball game. But when Chubbs have a big run, or we have one of the receivers, or Landry, or Odell Beckham, a big catch or something, we can't have a holding pin or anything like that. So, but I think this offense will jump back. I think Baker will jump back. I think they'll move the football, and I think they'll score a lot of points Friday night.
And getting last week out of our system, everything about last week is correctable. And that's the key to it all. It wasn't because of a lack of talent that you lost. It was because of lack of discipline. And all that can be reinforced, and that can be corrected.
I know we're 2 weeks into the season. Does this Jets defense, especially without Moseley, does it have what it takes to keep up with the potential firepower of this Browns offense?
Well, one thing you have to understand, these guys are professionals. Yeah. All of them are professionals. All of them, they didn't just get there. I mean, each and every one of these guys, they can play. And just like you said, we can't take them lightly just because they have some of their guys out. We still have to go out and we still have to execute. and we still have to take care of our business.
Well, from a defensive schematic standpoint, you're going to get Greg Williams' best effort. Let's just get that out there. One, he did not get the job. You know he's upset about that. And then you have the back and forth between he and Odell Beckham Jr. So right there, you know he's going to be fired up. He's going to do everything to coach his best game ever. So understand that.
Well, you know, I think one thing we have to really be alert to is the turnovers, because you know a Greg Williams defense, that's all they do. He practices, and teaches guys to commit turnovers, make the offense turn over the football, give the ball back to your offense in good field position. So I think our guys really have to protect the football this week.
Well, we're expecting big things from this Browns offense. You know, they're expecting big things of themselves. Jarvis Landry.
But do you know, Greg Williams sent out a memo for this show.
We're going to talk about
you know what he said?
He
wanted somebody to take you out.
We're going to talk about Greg Williams.
So you could do this show today.
Coach, and what this Browns team had to say about him. We're going to talk about, there's another professional transition here. Professional tease, deep tease from Hanford Dixon. But first, Jarvis Landry mic'd up last week. This one brought to you by Fifth Third Bank.
Quarterback from Oklahoma, number 6, Baker Mayfield. And the wide receiver from LSU, number 80, Jarvis Landry. And the wide receiver from LSU, number 13, Beckham Jr.
Let's do it. Greatest ever. I came to play with you. Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's, you know, a moment that I look forward to, you know, coming through that tunnel and seeing the fans. You know, last year we lost a couple games that we're supposed to win, but this is the NFL. Nobody's scared of anybody. Nobody's gonna just lay down. So we have to win those obvious games that we're supposed to win. You know, we want to win them all. You know, obviously, but the games that we're supposed to win, we definitely need them.
What you was made for right here. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Be great or be forgotten.
Absolutely.
Outside of the penalties, just overcoming it. You know, that's one thing Coach Freddie always talks about is adversity. You know, and what happens when adversity strikes. You know, we come together or we separate. You know, and he believes that we have, and I believe as well, that we have a group of guys that will come together.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I need to feel it! Let's go! I need to feel it! Let's go!
Butler, I think it was, said to me, he was just like, y'all ain't got enough heart over there.
You know me better than that.
Oh, I know you, bro. I'm just talking about your team.
No. We got heart, bro.
Oh, you do too?
Yeah.
I was like, what? You about to find out. You about to see how much heart we got. You know, he was like, I know you got heart, but the team don't have heart. I said, you don't know the men that I'm playing with, you know? And like that, those things are like something that I see every day out here. And guys stuck it out, and I knew they were prepared and ready for this. You know, there's one thing about this team, if no one's noticed even from last year, like we never gave up, you know? I think that's in this team too.
Hey, no matter what. We're going to grow from this one. No matter what. We're going to grow from this one. We're going to wake up.
The final score today, the Tennessee Titans 43 and the Browns 13. As bad a day as you can have if you're the Cleveland Browns.
Don't worry about it. Show these the way. Show them the way. Lead. 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 Even when it hurt. Even when it hurt. Lead. I love you. Healthy?
It's don't define us.
Yeah, you healthy?
Good.
Just put it behind us as quickly as we can, and we got back in here today, watched film. You know, we headed into the next week, going against the Jets on Monday night. Again, atmosphere is going to be crazy, and you know we got to go out there and make plays and not hurt ourselves, and I think we got a pretty good chance.
You good? You all right? Yeah. You good? Let's get back to it. OV, you good? Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it.
Busy all week, the Browns superstar wide receiver getting busy in the community. That's next on the Browns Countdown. Welcome back into the Browns Countdown. You know, the Browns gave their all on and off the field earlier this week. It was the 21st annual Taste of the Browns, hosted by co-chair Jarvis Landry.
So this is our 21st year celebrating the Taste of the Browns. We are thrilled to be here at First Energy Stadium, expecting well over 1,000 guests. We've got more than 50 restaurant and beverage purveyors and an incredible live and silent auction. And we're hoping to raise more than $325,000 tonight, a new record for hunger relief efforts of the Greater Cleveland Food Bank.
We have an opportunity to partner with the Greater Food Banks of Cleveland and have an opportunity to stretch $1 to 4 meals, and it means everything. I heard about this event and what it offers and the reach that it has, and I committed to it way back in the spring, so I'm happy to be here and now that it's here and to contribute and do my part.
Everyone has questions all about, what is the team doing? I grew up in inner city Washington, D.C. I've never met, NFL players. I didn't see them out in the community like that, and I'm sure they did, but it means a lot to these communities to see that that NFL team takes care of the community and does their part in doing so.
The Browns are an incredible partner to the food bank, not just through this event, although this is incredibly important, but frankly, all year long. We're thrilled to have great support from the executive office of the Browns, as well as wonderful list of players and alumni here. It means the world to us.
Taste of the Browns is one of my favorite events in the city of Cleveland. Both of you guys have been parts of it before. I was there Monday. I was looking for you guys. I figured because it was sold out, maybe you guys couldn't get tickets or something.
Maybe.
Well, we showed up. We came. We were
there in spirit.
We was at the door, and you forgot to leave our name at the door. So we're a little bit upset about it.
Record-breaking night, and this is a big deal. Greater Cleveland Food Bank does such a great job.
Certainly.
They raised more than $350,000 in that night for people in and around this community, providing meals for a lot of people in need, and it's a big deal, and it's a big cause for the Browns as well.
Certainly, and as the weather starts to get colder around here, that really kicks in because there are people that deal with food insecurity on a daily basis in our community. So what they do is tremendous and great for you to be a part of it, and we support in our own way as well.
Yeah, and the food bank feeds a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. And again, you hit on this, and I just want to say it again. It's a great event. I've been there several times. Normally, I'm there. This is the first time that I didn't make it. Normally, I'm there, but I will not miss it again because my understanding is you will host the event.
I don't want to. Let's just say I've emceed twice. They've both been record-breaking performances. That's all I'm going to say. I brought my A game, as Gerard would say.
Can you pat him on the back now?
Well, I will because you know what? You better bring the A game because there's a lot of people.
And there's a lot on the line. A lot of people in need that need the help, and it's again a wonderful event. And I will continue to do it as long as they want me to do it. Another initiative that the Browns tackled this week: their Get to School initiative.
Demetrius and I came here just first off, tell these kids, it's very important to stay in school, be in school and stay in school. Obviously they have, great energy and they're very teachable. We made it our most important to come here and, make sure that these kids are on the right path.
First, like he was saying, stay in school, that's the most important thing. And if you go home, go back to your family and tell them, show them you love school, that's the more they're gonna put into it to put you, in school more.
I didn't have this support like they had, no professional athletes. So since I got the platform, why not give it to what I didn't have? So, it's just a blessing to have this platform to use it to what I didn't have.
So thank you for, being here every day, but now it's time to hit that next gear. You got me? It was very important. I'm not just saying that too. It was very important, if you're not in school, there's nothing good comes about if you're not in school like that. So, yeah, the more people we get here every single day, the better. you see me sweating here, so you see I was also excited as well. Just coming here, just seeing like all the happy faces, it means a lot to us.
All right, let's go to break with our Giant Eagle trivia question of the week. Well, you better get this one right. Which team won the first ever Monday Night Football game? Was it the Colts, Baltimore Colts, Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns, or the New York Jets? Answer coming up after the break on Browns Countdown.
Leroy Kelly was running that rock.
Yeah. It's the worst kept secret in football, at least in this show. Trivia question, which team was the first ever to win Monday Night Football game? Well, if you were paying attention at all, it's the Cleveland Browns. Here on the Browns Countdown, 1970 against
Broadway Joe.
The New York Jets. Browns won that one 31-21. Let's take a look at our, actually no, we're going to read more with less than a minute remaining. Linebacker Billy Andrews returned to pick 25 yards for a touchdown to seal the victory for the Browns. Let's get to our injury report. Browns taking on the Jets on Monday Night Football tomorrow. Sam Darnold, as we have mentioned, out with mono. C.J. Moseley out. Le'Veon Bell questionable, though Bell has said he will be playing. And a big injury for the Browns there. Demarius Randall out with concussion. He's in the concussion protocol. We knew Dontrell Hilliard was going to be out in that concussion protocol. But Demarius Randall, who spoke on Friday and practiced with the team on Friday, then was put into the protocol, isn't with the team on Saturday. So no Demarius Randall for the Browns on Monday Night Football, and that is a big loss for this team.
It certainly is, and it's puzzling, but at the same time, with it being a Monday night game, it's possible how the schedule works is Friday's typically a laid-back, easier practice, and maybe they shifted to Friday was like a Thursday practice, so maybe there was some type of contact that took place then for him to be in the protocol.
Yeah, it's a little strange to me, too. I mean, I just, I want to say if I was playing, I'm just going to tell you, I know everybody get mad at me, but I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
Just a little bit of a taste.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is Demarius Randall was very outspoken this week, since
Yeah.
we're on the topic of Demarius. Outspoken about the Browns' former interim head coach, former defensive coordinator Greg Williams, because the big story this week was Odell Beckham Jr. saying that he believes Williams put a hit out on him a couple of years ago in the preseason when the Browns were playing Beckham's Giants. And now the Browns get another shot at Greg Williams this week.
Right, and you're being kind because it was extreme what he said. He said he hates the man, and if someone to go that route means that he definitely wasn't a fan favorite of Demarius. And yes, Greg is known for saying things in a very ill manner in which he curses at guys, and that's old school coaching. You really don't see much of that nowadays, but Greg is still from that line of thought of that, hey, you get after a guy and you tell him like it is, and guys don't really appreciate that in this day and age, especially of political correctness. So I can understand Demarius' thoughts, because that is definitely a throwback situation where most coaches don't coach that way anymore.
Hanford, he said if Greg Williams got the head coaching job, he would have requested a trade.
That's strong words. I mean, that's really, really strong words, because when I played, we always tried to take a guy out, a guy like Odell Beckham. I mean, we wanted to take you out of the ball game. But when I said, let me define take you out, nothing illegal, no dirty hits or anything like that. If we could take you out with a clean hit, that's what we wanted to do. But we only wanted you out for our ball game. We wanted you to be able to play next week. Nothing. We didn't want to. I mean, I don't think there's any players that would seriously want to stop another player's career. I mean, you don't hurt anybody like that.
Right. It's one thing, as you just said, Hanford, to say, hey, we want you to not compete at a high level in our game, hey, but go on with the rest of your career.
That's
generally what the sentiment is. And knocking you out of the game could also mean from a psychological standpoint of you just don't want it the way we want it, and you're not going for that football, you're not playing to a high level. So it has different factorings in it, not just from a physical, you're hurt and you're injured, you can no longer play.
And I can't see Greg coming to you as a player or me as a player saying, hey, I don't care how you take him out, I want you to really hurt this player. I can't see that.
The guy was suspended from the NFL for an entire year.
But
I don't know, Hanford. I'm at those
saying just that. But you know
slide a little bit over here for that one from you.
There's a lot of guys on this Browns team that obviously have played for Greg Williams. And, earlier this week, mixed reviews on their former coach.
You know, obviously, Greg was here, so we're all familiar with him. But it presents challenges. We're sure that, you know, he's got some stuff waiting for us, surprises here and there, and we'll be ready for anything.
Greg's going to bring the house. We know he's a blitzing coach. You guys have seen it the last 2 years here. His defense has always been top 5 in pressures. He does things a little bit differently sometimes. He's definitely got those guys motivated. I know that. But it's fun. It's a good challenge for us. As O-linemen, we saw him in practice for the last 2 years, and there's some looks that we're probably going to see that we haven't seen. I'm sure he's saving something for us.
Yeah, I'm excited. We had the opportunity to play for Greg last year. He's a tremendous coach. I have a lot of respect for him and what he does. I've seen a lot of things that he does in practice, but now it's gonna be a real game. So I'm excited about that. He does a lot of great things, and I'm looking forward to going up against him.
All right, coming up, we talk Browns specialists. You know what Freddie Kitchens thinks? He just wants them to kick the ball through the yellow posts. We'll see if they can do that this week. Next to the Browns Countdown. These guys are admiring the pictures on the wall back here.
Hey, I have a problem.
What's that?
How is Hanford not on the wall?
Yeah, I'm looking on the wall back here, and then there's no top dog picture. I mean, guys, let's do something about that.
I think it was because we wanted to limit the amount of black and white pictures we had.
Sarah, where's my picture here?
You snuck that in on me. He didn't even.
It was not. Now, wait a minute. That
right
was
over his head.
Yeah, no, he didn't. No, he did not. I just ignored it.
Welcome back to the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry. Of course, the Browns playing on Monday Night Football this week, traveling to MetLife Stadium in New Jersey to take on the New York Jets, and they better bring a kicker, Austin Seibert. Boy, we talk about deflating. That Browns team last week against Tennessee drove right down the field, first drive of the ball game, score touchdown, and then you miss an extra point, and it's just 1 point, but that's deflating for an offense.
It is. And, I listened to a lot of people, a lot of my friends, they said after we missed that extra point, that's when things went downhill, but that's very, very important. You cannot afford to miss these kicks. And also, the first punt we had, I mean, it wasn't the greatest. Obviously, we got a good roll out of it, but special teams is very important to a football team.
Yeah, well, I would make the argument that it was a microcosm of the game. You drive down the football field, and I mean, that drive was beautiful. Now, granted, the first play was not that good, but other than that, it was a beautiful drive. Cap it off with an extra point being made. Who knows if that doesn't make a difference? But yes, he's going to have to be more secure because his job security is on the line if he can't make extra points.
You know what's funny, though? Those kickers and punters, when they do something like that, like miss an extra point or have a bad punt, you notice those guys that go over on the sideline and they're over there by themselves because everybody's looking at them looking funny. Everybody's talking about the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's a risk you take. Both these specialists are rookies.
Yes, they are.
You got all this talent on this team, but they opted to go for high ceiling with Seibert and Jamie Gillen, but they're both young players, and that was, of course, Seibert's first actual extra point kick.
You have to like Jamie, though. I mean, he goes down and he'll stick his head in there. I mean,
he's old school.
He's old school.
Speaking of special teams, the Browns had one of the best specialists in NFL history in Josh Cribbs. And congratulations in order this week for Josh. Been named a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And I'll say it, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If the NFL Hall of Fame is going to honor the best special teams player of all time, you give that honor to Josh Cribbs because he can return kicks. He can make tackles.
The best of all time.
Yes.
Best specialist of all time.
Best specialist of all time. I mean, he can return kicks. He can make tackles on punt. He can make tackles on kickoff. He did everything across the board other than kicking. He was the best of all time. And I played that primarily for the majority of my career, and I'm telling you, in my opinion, he was the best at all time doing it.
Well, Hanford, that's the difference. A guy like Devin Hester was a good return man, but Cribbs did it on both sides, offensive and defense.
He really did, and I just want to hope and wish Josh the best, and hopefully he can get in.
All right, remember, every Tuesday you can catch Club 46 on the Browns YouTube channel to see exclusive interviews with your favorite Browns alumni, including Brian Sipe, Tim Couch, Hall of Famer Paul Warfield, and here's a sneak peek of this week's episode with Kevin Mack.
If you go back and look, you'll see I played most of the games. I got this big red streak running down the front of my jersey where I had knocked some teeth out and I couldn't take my mouthpiece out. So the team didn't say, keep it in, don't take it out. The players run, I watched Bernie hand off to him. You know, he makes a couple of moves and he's moving to the outside and it looks like he scores. And then all of a sudden you see this scrum of people, you know, moving around and I'm going, no. Browns fans really love this team, unconditionally. It's just amazing, you know, the number of times they show up. Like I said, no matter what the record is, They just love their Browns.
All right, we're almost there. Coming up after the break, these guys will give their keys to the game. Gerard, Hanford, that's next in the Browns Countdown. Welcome back into the Browns Countdown. Jon Doss, Hanford, Dixon, Gerard Cherry. If you remember all the way back about an hour and a half ago, Hanford promised his key to the game, and here we go.
Hey, guys.
You can't be giving up on plays. You got to hustle.
You cannot give up on plays. I mean, this was a very, very key time in the ball game.
Last week,
and watch this screen play right here. He's going to come back to the other side to Henry. Now, what you don't see right now, you don't see guys from the other side of the field. What they did was, some of those guys, they took for granted that this play was going to be made by someone else. And you have to pursue. We're taught, we were taught to pursue every single play, every time, go to the ball. And we didn't do that. And as a result, Derrick Henry was able to take this the distance all the way. And you can't do that. I wish we had another angle, but that's all right. You understand, because I don't have to call any names this time since we don't see the other angle.
You're about to.
And you'll see guys, even when they get there, watch this. They're not getting to the ball. But, guys, it was a very important play.
It was a crushing play.
You can't take plays off.
You can make the argument that's the one that won it. Gerard, penalties, man.
Oh, yeah.
Can't be having 18 for 182 again today.
Yeah, good luck winning a high school game, a college game, or any type of game. If you have that many penalties and you're penalized that much, you're essentially giving a football team great field position. You're stagnating your drives, and you cannot afford to play at that level. You want clean football games. Yeah. I understand it's early on in the season, but there is no excuse whatsoever to amass 18 penalties in the course of any type of game. That should be your total come week 8, let alone week 1.
I can't remember a game that I played in where we came near close to having 18 penalties.
And they still had a chance to win the game.
Still had a chance.
Which is why, when you say you clean that up a little bit, you got a really good shot to win on Monday Night Football. Time now for the fourth member of our team, Nathan Zagura.
Thanks, guys. Nathan Zagura here in Berea, where the Browns are finishing up their final walkthrough before they board the plane to head to New York to take on the Jets on Monday Night Football in a critical game for this franchise to get their record back to 1-1. You guys talked about your keys to the game. No taking plays off. Agree with that, Hanford, and certainly, Gerard, you can't have 18 penalties and win in the NFL, so that's got to be cleaned up. Beyond that, here's what I'm looking at. The Browns need to eliminate the big plays. In week number 1, the Titans had 3 plays, 2 passes to A.J. Brown and 1 screen to Derrick Henry that you referenced, Hanford, that combined for 173 total yards. Now, on the other 53 offensive plays, the other 53, they were able to manage just 166 total yards. So the Browns held them to about 3 yards per play for the majority of the game. You can't have those kind of defensive breakdowns because they directly lead to points, and they did in week number 1. Second of all, the Browns need to do a better job of dealing with the opponent's pressure up front. Now in week 1, the Browns' Baker Mayfield was under pressure 27% of the time. That's right where he was last year, 29% of the time. The difference was, of those pressures, 42% resulted in sacks. Last year, only 16% of the pressures resulted in sacks. If the Browns can clean that up, the offense won't be playing behind the sticks as often as they were in week 1. And finally, guys, I think this one's going to be all about the running backs. For the Jets, of course, Le'Veon Bell will be the centerpiece of their offense with Sam Darnold out. The running back played every offensive snap in week 1, 23 touches, 92 total yards, and a score. If the Browns can stop Le'Veon Bell, and that should be the absolute focus of the defense, and limit the big plays, as I mentioned, and their only real big play threat is Robbie Anderson, who for his career averages 15 yards a catch. I think they can stymie this Jets offense that averages 3.4 yards per play in week 1, lowest in the NFL. And for us, it's all about Nick Chubb. Let's give him the ball. Let's establish our toughness. Look for the Browns to use more 2 tight end sets and pound Nick Chubb against a Jets team that's depleted at linebacker and could be depleted up front. I think if Nick Chubb gets to that 20 carry mark, if he runs for more than 100 yards, the Browns are going to come out of there with a big win in prime time. Guys, back to you.
All right, guys, just week 2 of the NFL season. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night. We will have Browns Countdown every Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. to noon right here. Guys, just week 2 of the NFL season. Let me ask you this question. Is it a must-win tomorrow at MetLife Stadium?
I think it's a must-win. I think we have to come away with this football game, especially when you look at the Jets and everybody they're missing on their football team, a lot of injuries. But I still think we're a better football team.
Oh, for sure. And it's a must-win. It's a you have to win, you better win, and you should win situation for this football team.
If you lose, all of a sudden you come back against the defending NFC champs, the Rams, here on a Sunday night game. Then you got to go on the road at Baltimore, which, as we know, is a pretty good football team. Travel cross-country Monday night to play the Niners, then back here to host Seattle.
Right.
You lose Monday night, things are going to get real ugly the first 6 weeks of the season. Got to win against the Jets.
Yes, you do, and the key part starts here. Be 1-1. Don't start the season in the whole 0-2. You just don't want that. You don't need that. It's a bad look, and you're better than that.
For Gerard, Hanford, I'm Jon Doss. Enjoy the ball game tomorrow. We'll see you next week.
A loss is always disappointing. I don't really care what's going on the outside. We lost, and we expected to win.
What makes you most confident about this team's resiliency and being able to kind of shake this off?
Because everybody's going to throw us in the trash. I think that's good. I know what type of men we have in this locker room. And quite frankly, I don't really give a damn what happens on the outside. I know how we're going to react. I know what we're going to do, how we're going to bounce back. And we got a Monday night game coming up, so we don't really care.
You take adversity and you either run together, run toward each other, or you run away. And I think we've got a bunch of guys who are going to run toward each other.